Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm here. I will story of my experience in Ramadan this year. This month of Ramadan feels very different from the months of Ramadan in the past years. This month is different because the world is scooped by the extent of a calamity that is the coronavirus. And when Indonesian condition is getting worse with the coronavirus outbreak, we are encouraged by the government to always be at home or carry out activities at home. And this suggestion was delivered this directly from the Indonesian government through television or directly from the hands of the religion. And for collect activities were carried out in their homes, and for immediately and to pray, they are not allowed to pray in congregation in the mosque. And in all different religions, they are also prohibited from worshipping in their place of worship. They must perform worship or worship in their respective homes. But because I live in village far from urban areas and places, then for the implementation or the 5 daily prayers and Friday prayers and Tarawih prayers are still carried out in the mosque. But mosques, aware of the healthy protocol, which is given a rules that must be obeyed, namely must guard distance between people, which is about 1 meter from one person to another person, and before entering the mosque, all people are required to have to wash their hands and have to wear a mask and something check their body temperature. So if the body temperature exceeds the 40 degree limits, then it will continue medical tests were carried out. And the reason for this was due to the neglect of the village government and the anticipation of the coronavirus. And this was also carried out so that the virus was not transmitted to one person to another. My first Tarawih prayers feel different because every time I went to the mosque, I had to be aware of myself to obey healthy protocol, but by having to wear a mask and keep my distance from it, although it really made me not every fervent improvement in performing prayers, and when doing tadarus and or Quran together in something that is usually done when after the playing witir. Even I feel upset and feel very different because I wait with my fellow friends have to distance themselves from each other because they should not be close together or crowded. And when I read the Quran, must always use face masks. Normally, I'm something go home at 1:30 in the morning. And when the coronavirus is destroyed, this time is also resistance. That is after the witty prayer until 9 o'clock at night, the time for women to be alone, and when the time for 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, the 9-10 time for men. And when I finished my Tarawih prayers, I would usually immediately carry out the work of the liturgy until 9:03. And after that, I and my friend flocked to the mosque to perform the tadarus together. But when we are in the mosque, we must always wear mask and have to wash our hands before reading the Quran. And we must keep a distance from each other by keeping a distance between one person and another. We feel uncomfortable with the condition. But we are still aware, and sometimes we are still greeting and communication with at other, with friends or with fathers until the extent time of the 10 o'clock. We and my friend rushed to run to their respective homes because if we'll follow the scripted limits, sometimes we get a remit and get angry from the village security guard. In the past year, after finishing up to about half a hour, sometimes I stopped by the stall to buy food, and after that I sleep at my friend's house. Because every Ramadan, I usually always go with my friend to go around the village. To wake the residents up, the dawn come, I will usually did from the o'clock until it was often and something we played freaks rascal with ringing, and after going around the village I went straight home. But when there was an outbreak of this coronavirus tells him to be closed, and for the event to wake the mail, it didn't allowed by the village government because the event is usually followed by many children and usually also done in group. Therefore, this event is banned by the government. And because the driving program was forbidden, after the usually custom, I went straight home, and when I was in my room, I played my handphone for a while and something I continued to do my literature estimates, and after that I fell asleep. And usually when I help past 4 and was awoken by my father to eat sahur, and after imsak, I immediately went to the mosque with my father to perform the dawn prayers in congregation in the mosque, and always obey the healthy protocol. And after from the mosque, I usually immediately read the Quran at home with my father in throne. And after resting, I usually work and work marks and usually take my morning walk. I usually do it until half past, and when at home I usually help my mother to wash clothes and dry out all the sun. And because I ration chicken, then after washing clothes or after sweeping the house, usually I immediately giving chicken food. And after I play chill telephones or watching television, and when there are house of internet, I usually go to my uncle's house to look for Wi-Fi. And when I'm given letters as given, I usually always go to this house. And after that, I take a shower, and sometimes after taking a shower, I immediately pray Zuhur in the mosque. But when it's too late, I pray mandatory prayers at home. And after the mosque, I always wash my hand and feel I after that I walk in the room. I take a nap and usually I wake up at 4:30 and after that I take a shower and after bathing I help my mother to make a menu to break the fish and something I only help to break the breaking fast. And after that I watch television and wait for the time to break the fast, and when it is time to break in fast I usually add chocolate or juice drink. Is an eat French food. And after that I immediately rose off the most fresh. First, to perform evening prayers, and after that I just eat rice, and after big I see television because waiting for the prayer Isha, and after that prayer Imsak announced me and my family rushed to the mosque and carry out Imsak prayer and Tarawih in crowds. And usually when the mosque is something held a prayer to the minus, and that is usually done before the witir prayers. And when takbiran, I usually help around the next takbiran. But for the time of the coronavirus outbreak, the takbiran round is not held. But for the takbiran event is it still held is mosque or in respected village. And usually in the past years I always participate in the Tour Takbiran the village. But because of this calamity I immediately went to the mosque and did the recitation with my friend. That is after that evening prayer until 11 o'clock at night, and after that I went home to sleep a night. And for Eid al-Fitri, my village is still carrying of Eid al-Fitri prayers in congregation, but must comply with healthy protocol. With must wear a mask and wash my hands before going to the mosque. And before being in the mosque, where will be healthy works, checking her temperature, and after that I and the residence is given disinfectant, alternative of cleans up one by one. And after that, we were only allowed to enter the mosque, and even for the land must be 1 meters away from the others, because the portion of my mosque was closer to the madrasah and the village hall. Then there's women pilgrims when placed in my madrasah school and placed in the village hall. And from male worship is in place in the mosque and around the mosque country. And for it prayer activities run smoothly without any obstacle. And after the Eid al-Fitr prayers, in the mosque, I immediately breakfast. And after that, I immediately made a apology to my family, such as apologies to my mother, father, and grandmother. After that, I apologize to my family, and after that, I apologize to my neighbors. And because of this coronavirus outbreak, I had to always maintain cleanliness and always wear a mask. And after only allowed by the village government to apologize with my hands without touching. And for that past years, the custom it that is every it I always apologize to the area just complex. And because of this coronavirus outbreak, so I only apologize in just on household. And for our goods, we are accounted by the village government to expect goods from the village or family and not be able to expect goods on outside the village and even or out of town, because this is in order to protect ourselves from transmission of this coronavirus outbreak. So we only accept apologies in the family environments and the neighborhood only. Thanks, this for me. I think enough. I'm sorry. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.